Hi, arrangers and big band fans. Today I'm going to talk about what to do with the piano player in your band. Well, first of all, you don't have to have a piano player in a big band. Jerry Mulligan had a great big band called the Concert Jazz Band, and there was no piano in the band, although Jerry once in a while would play piano, and Bob Brookmeyer was trombonist in the band. He might play piano, but that was pretty rare. For 99% of what they did, there was no piano, and it worked great because if the bass player and the drummer if they're playing, they're carrying the rhythmic pulse of the band. But I like having a piano in the band for the possibility of soloing and some written things where I just want that color. The two greatest big bands of all time, Duke Ellington and Count Basie, both of them were piano players, so there's quite a lot of piano playing in those bands. And those are good examples of how to approach what to do with the piano. They're not the only examples, but they're good examples. In a small group, the piano player is going to be responsible for comping, for accompanying the melody. In a big band, different horn sections are going to take over a lot of those functions. So it's not incumbent upon the pianist to be doing that all the time, to be so active. Sometimes the piano player can be setting up the groove in the band. Basically, you don't want the piano to be doubling the horn voicings. That's one thing you want to avoid. If your piano player does that, tell him not to do that. It just makes the horn section sound smaller, not bigger, smaller. Not a good idea. Now, the piano can double like a horn line, like an octave higher. Sometimes that happens occasionally. Again, that doesn't happen often. So you don't want the piano player to be doing that all the time. But sometimes it's nice, it's just for a short period of time, for a certain color, to add piano. Although the piano can double the bass, that happens. You've got like some kind of a. Usually it doesn't happen when the bass player is walking. Yeah, it might happen on something. I just wrote this arrangement where the piano does. And the piano and bass are doubled doing that kind of bass pattern. Here's an example in my piece Marlowe, where the piano is doubling the bass, and actually I have the piano playing in octaves. That's pretty odd. Usually when you double with the bass, it's usually just in the same octave with the bass. But if you really want to strengthen it, you can make it. You can put it in octaves like this. In general, when we're writing for piano, for the most part, we write chord symbols and slashes, and we leave it up to the pianist to figure out his own part, to listen to the arrangement and find something that will make the arrangement sound better. It's a lot of responsibility for the pianist, so you want him to be tasteful and find something that will be interesting. His job is basically like he's commenting on what the band is doing. That's a lot of what he does. And then sometimes he'll have a solo, and then he's got the spotlight. And the chord symbols that you write for him, unlike the bass player, who I don't like the bass player to even know what the tensions in the chords are. I just give him basic stuff. C, C7, C minor 7, flat 5, that's about it. But the piano player, if there are altered tensions, like G7 flat 9 plus 5, I like to tell the piano player about those altered tensions so that he or she can include them in the voicings. Sometimes chord symbols aren't going to do it. and I'll need specific notation. That could be in establishing a groove. Here's an example. This is an arrangement of mine of a tune called Smiles. It's an old tune. And the piano sets up this the groove at the beginning. And I wrote out exactly what I wanted him to play.
There are smiles that make us happy. There are smiles that make us blue. There are smiles that steal away the teardrops as the sunbeams steal away the dew.
Here's another example. This is from Marlowe. This is the second movement of Marlowe, where the piano sets up a groove. Here's another example. This is from the first movement of Marlowe, another groove that the piano sets up. This next example is, it's the intro to an arrangement I did on I Was So Young, You Were So Beautiful. It's an early Gershwin song. The ensemble plays a figure and then the piano answers. So I wrote out the figure that I wanted the pianist to play. And he rests for almost the rest of the chart, and there's only about 8 bars where I want him to be comping, and I gave him chord simples there. Well, actually, he's accompanying on the verse. We'll listen to. We can listen to this example, and you'll see how the piano functions in this chart.
You speak of love just as if you know what that wondrous passion means. Hearts that are young find a love that's new when they wake from foolish dreams.
Here's another example from the second movement of Marlowe of some written out piano stuff. Don't be afraid to write rests for the piano. It's okay. You know, he doesn't have to be playing all the time, and sometimes it's nice to leave the piano out when you don't need him. The horn's taking care of business, and then when he comes in, then it's a nice addition. When you're writing piano solos, in general, avoid horn backgrounds to piano solos. It makes, when the horns play, it just makes the piano sound small. The one exception to that is if the piano is playing in, say, double octaves, and something like that, there could be stuff happening in the horns. Here's an example from Marlowe, the second movement of Marlowe, where the piano is in double octaves and there's some busy stuff going on in the horns. And one last piece of advice is to know your piano player and what are his or her strengths and weaknesses. If your pianist is not a good reader, stick to chord symbols. If your pianist is not a good improviser but can read, then write out stuff. Ideally, it would be really great if your band works so much that you don't have to write out anything for the piano, for the rhythm section, like Duke Ellington, or when Marcellus. When the band is working so much and is rehearsing so much, the rhythm section can figure out their own parts. That's great. They'll be really creative. I try to split the difference, try to give them some information of what I'm looking for, and then encourage them to bring their creativity to the arrangement. So if they think of something better than what I've got, do have at it. Thanks for watching this episode of Writing for Big Band. If you like this lesson, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And check out the other lessons on my channel. If you want to know more, there's tons of information in my books. Creative Jazz Composing and Arranging, Volume 1 and 2. which you can find on my website in the description below. The books have plenty of examples and techniques, and you can download the scores to follow along. Thanks for watching, and happy arranging.